So, after lots and lots of grinding, I think that the keel is it's starting to get a really good shape. I will just try to grind down the low spots here so we get a good grip for the epoxy, and then I will coat the whole thing with epoxy and maybe do wet in wet, some filler for the low spots. During the casting we had some basically some of the styrofoam that was the plug that got stuck in the aft of the casting, so that there we have some voids or cavities or whatever you call it. But I think that's not really a problem. We'll just grind it down and then fill it up with some putty, and it will be fine. First layer of epoxy is on, and some fairing. We also had some, it started to rain just before I left last time, so there's some water. So we just tried the old plates that was covering up the old mechanics, and this was a quite interesting function. I think this one was mounted on the lower folding part, and then it folded up, and this one is like spring loaded and follows here, and yeah, quite an installation. But I think we will use these plates to cover this up. We will probably just weld this one in, and then we fill out this lower part here with a piece of this one, I think. But first up we need to fix it's threaded holes into the keel, but they are all in quite bad shape. So we'll try to just drill them a bit deeper and thread them deeper and see if it works. Otherwise we might have to go up in one size, but then we need to re-drill all these holes as well, and this one is in stainless, so rather try to avoid that if it's possible.
So now I'm trying to wash away this like amino brush or something, maybe it's called, that occurs after the epoxy has cured. Like on the surface, this makes it kind of fattish. So just cleaning it with water, then we're gonna use acetone, sand it a little bit, and then acetone again before we put on a second layer of epoxy padding. So before we close the gap here, we're gonna put some zinc anodes inside, and we have this zinc anodes, but they are slightly too big, so I'm gonna try if we can bend the metal here and then weld them in place. Now we have both the
two handles in place. It's a very tight fit for both of them, but that one is very tight. But I guess it's better to get more zinc in than, the more zinc the better, I guess. So the holes that are threaded into the keel that holds this plate in place are M6 holes, but some of them are completely rusted away, and we thread them up to M8 then instead, and also re-drilling this one. But this one is stainless, and it's quite thick. It's maybe a 3mm metal sheet, and then there is this piece behind as well, so in total it's probably, I don't know, 8mm. But it's quite actually super easy to drill it with this super miracle paste that we used for the threaded rods as well.
when we attach the keel.
Yeah, exactly. It's almost like drilling in normal carbon steel as well, even with just this one.
Now the plan is to weld this the hatch together with the rest of it, I guess.
That one, yeah.
We don't need this.
Oh. Just have this one on for now because it keeps it in place. We're getting there. Okay, so now we got it welded almost all the way. We'll also put some supports here that we'll try to attach to the lead on the inside. Because the down, I mean, it's very stiff, but it's after welding it's falling in a bit here, so we want to push it out so we get a nice smooth surface there.
Yeah. So number one is done and
Almost done at least.
almost done. But we're not gonna continue with the second one today because now we're gonna paint the keel.
Guys, it's painting time. Time for the first layer on the keel. We have this batch of epoxy that we got left over from fixing our other boat, so we will use that one, and now we're going to try to pour some paint out of this crazy big bucket into this very small mixing cup. 567 milliliters. It's so thick as well, this one. Maybe this one would have been happy with some thinner, but we don't have any. But it is very thick from the beginning as well. It's just it's so you're able to build high layer or big thick layers from the start. Okay, so we started to dry fit the through holes. There were actually quite a lot of. I mean, we don't have that many. We only have 4 of them. Actually, all 4 of them. We grinded down the surface a bit on the inside because the outside and the inside surface, they were not really parallel to each other. So when you tighten the skin fitting nut, it's basically only touching in one surface on one side, and then the whole skin fitting is or through it's not getting flush mount basically. But now we have grinded down the surfaces, everything is parallel, and it's a good fit, I think. Now we're just gonna test mount all the valves as well. Make sure we got all the measurements correct, that everything fits inside as well. Alright, so obviously these through holes will not be the right length, as the hull thickness are different in different boats and so on. And you want them as, you don't want to have too much overhang when the valve is threaded on, basically just to make the total lever arm of the valves and any fittings on it as small as possible, to make it as strong as possible. We dry fitted everyone, and then I measured, put the valve on, and then measured how much I can take off, just to make sure that the valve gets tight with some small clearance to the nut that's on the inside. And for these through design fittings, we'll use this load bearing collar, I think it's called, and then there is a defined length that should protrude into the boat when it's mounted according to true design. I will cut this guys to length.
I think we haven't said anything about why it's different. Well, we have one bronze and one, and the rest is true design. We plan to have true design for all of the through holes, but for the last one,
actually our only exhaust.
Yeah.
All the other ones are intakes, but this is where all the black water and grey water goes out through. The same through hole actually. It's a bit special design, we'll probably mention that later, but it's very tight in this position, and the through designs are, especially the valves, are quite big. Also, together with that, the through design ball diameter is a bit smaller on the equivalent thread size compared to another full-size ball valve. So then we ended up on bronze on this one. And we can, in 10 years, decide which one is better, I guess.
Once and for all, maybe. So now I'm prepping for the through holes to attach them. Putting some tape around so we get a nice finish line.
We put the through holes in before we do any antifouling here, so directly on the epoxy primer. hull is pretty thick here, but now we're only putting Zika on the part that will be in the hull. And then there's this backing washer and the nut from inside that we just tighten hand tight today, and then we let it cure, and then we will retighten it. Time to mount the new shaft seal. So it's one of those PSS shaft seal that is sealing axially. We had to open up this hole in the stringer here a bit to make it fit. I still think it's a bit tight, so we'll see if how well it fits, or if it fits. But first we need to mount the shaft.
Yes.
I guess that's step one. Okay, so we just test mounted the stainless steel ring, and let's see exactly where the shaft will end up. I think it will be somewhere here, and I think there is definitely some clearance, so I think this will work. Okay, so the propeller shaft is back in, and we also installed this new PSS shaft seal as well. So the alignment of the shaft to the stern tube was not super good, I would say. We worked a bit on it to make it better, but yeah, we wanted to just test everything to see that there was no vibrations and it looked good with the PSS shaft seal. So we just primed the cutlass bearing and the PSS seal with some soap water, and then ran it for like, I don't know, 30 seconds just to make sure we gear in, just to make sure it runs smooth. But it looks good. I think we're just gonna take apart this folding propeller and lube it up a bit as well, just to make sure it runs smooth. Now we're just gonna put on the shaft anode and this rope cutter thing. Just sanding it down a bit to get a good surface, so we get a good electrical bond to the shaft. Yeah.
Might need an explanation for this. Weird working positions. We are countersinking the holes for where we're gonna put on for the second plate that cover the hole, and in order for you, Thomas, to get enough force to make the countersink, I had to give you an extra push.
But it's just because as I need to stand on the beam, and you have it's very difficult to get enough pressure on it.
Now we're adding some support here on the inside for the covering plates. So they are quite stable as they are, but just to keep them
In position, yeah?
Yeah, in position and follow the shape of the keel. And while doing this, it has been quite a hassle drilling in the lead. It's quite easy that the drill gets stuck, and then I don't know if the lead melts or something.
We've broken quite some drills until now.
We were a bit, since we did this like skeleton thing with stainless pipes that go so that we could get the threaded rod through the keel. I guess when we had them stuck, you thought of, oh, maybe we should have just drilled through the lead instead. But now when we drilled just this little piece, maybe it was good that we didn't do that anyway.
Okay, so now we have finally come to the point where we have drained the old hydraulic system of oil. So basically just open up the system here, then we pushed up all the cylinders were fully extended, and then we opened up both feed and return, and we pushed them up with the hydraulic jack to get all the oil out. And then the hoses that goes through the keel and goes this, and then the hose here that goes through the keel and up into the boat. We've been just connecting them together, and then we will leave it like that for now. They're also plugged from the inside.
They have still some oil in them.
Yeah, if they would break down, there's still some oil, so then they have to break down here, and then they have to break down to the inside as well to actually leak in, which feels pretty safe. And then obviously at some point we'll take all these parts away.
We have painted here with some epoxy primer on the inside.
The reason for all the bolts here and here, and these are for the old hinges, for the attachments for the hinges for the old swing keel, but obviously we don't use them now, but we didn't really know what to do with the holes because it was quite difficult to clean them, and it would probably rust a lot, so we just put in the screws that were in there before and painted everything up. Obviously all this will just be covered up anyway, so the next step will actually be to put on these plates, and then we're gonna do some fairing of that and then paint the whole keel.
First one in position.
I kind of forgot to paint this side, that's one.
We thought we had already painted the outside, but we only painted the inside. We do that later. We're gonna add some more epoxy and epoxy primer on stuff anyway. But this one went without any issues, so hope that goes for the second one as well. Then we're closing the keel.
Yeah, now it's time to do some fairing on this. But I wonder if it feels like this is going to be a pain in the ass to take off when it's time to take them off, but
that's years from now.
That's for later. Small holes. I don't know what the holes were for before, but it's very good zinc anode inspection holes now.
Yeah, this is not something that we're gonna seal. We're gonna let water get into this. It's just for the hydrodynamics.
To get the correct shape of the keel.
Yes.
What are you up to?
Adding some epoxy primer on the top of the rudder. There was some was not so much left, so we have added some patch works also with epoxy primer on the places where we thought it was a little bit too little.
And keel is painted in one color for the first time. I think it turns out really good.
Now it's time to start attaching the valves for the through hose. Starting with a bronze exhaust.
Poop exhaust.
Okay, so now we have all the valves attached to the through hose as well, and yeah, technically the boat should not have any holes in it anymore. We hope, at least. Yeah, we have four through holes, 3 inlets, one for the engine, one for like toilets, sinks, those kind of stuff, and one for the generator as well. And then we have one outlet for blacking rainwater. Now it is time for first layer of antifouling.